Morning.
Good
Hi,
morning.
Gary.
Diana, announcements. Daylight savings the beginning of April. So it's 3 weeks away, really. I think it changes from our 7th of April one. It'll change for Queenslanders and maybe Singapore, actually, I think.
Okay, that's a little ways away yet, though, isn't it?
I know, but people don't come every week, so.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
And also, can you get them to send a message on the Australasian Connect page?
Is there any confusion? Because we used to have an Australasian Connect. Should we put a link in the chat, perhaps?
Sure. We used to have
another one, and sometimes I'll go on there and I'll end up in the wrong one, and then I know what to do, but maybe put in the chat box.
No.
Are these people from down under or what?
We are. We've got that funny accent.
Hello, everybody. I don't think I've done your calls before, but never by Zoom, so that's good.
No.
Cool, isn't it?
She's here to support.
Is that Lydia?
Happy St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, we're a day ahead.
You are a day ahead.
You're on it, Lydia. I'm just going to close my blind here. I'll be right back.
More green instead of blue. Wow. Oh, all right, close those blinds now. So how's everybody? I hear you just had sauna down there.
We did.
Did you enjoy that? Was it good?
It was fantastic. Yeah, she was. We had a wonderful boot camp.
Great. She's really good. I've known her for almost 20 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I go way back with her. It's a cute story. We might have time, but I started doing the Clemmer work 20 years, 2 or 3 years into doing network marketing. And I started, I didn't start doing their work. I started buying their books because I heard about if how-tos were enough, we'd all be skinny, rich, and happy. And I was like, it intrigued me. So I called up to buy a book and they said, well, that's $18. And I said, $18 for that skinny book? I said, give me a break. So they said, well, you can buy 50 or you can buy like 200 and then you get them for $8. I said, okay, send me 200. And I was like, I didn't want to spend $18. I just spent $1,600.
I'm sure you made good use of them.
Oh, of course. I went and bought another box. Like about 3 months later, I started training everybody with this book, right? So Sona calls me about 3 or 4 months later and she goes, Merri-Jo, this is Sona. And she, her accent, and she's like, nasal. Sona, this is Sona Manor. I have it down. So she's done. And she's going, she says, I'm from Clemmer and, we're, you've been buying our books. And I go, yeah, I know. It's really good. I love training. And she goes, well, we're not a book company.
Oh, another 6 inches.
We're not a book company. And I said, well, you're selling books. And then she's described to me about the seminars they do. And I said, well, but I'm already teaching the book. Why would I go to a seminar if I'm already teaching the books, right? I mean, it was like you're asking the teacher to go get trained or something, She goes, oh, Merri-Jo, the book, it's just superficial compared to what you get on the weekend. And so she said, so we want to gift you a Clemmer weekend, right? And I said, let me think about it. I still I was unimpressed by this. Well, about 3 days later, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go. It was in Minneapolis, and they were giving me a $300 discount. So what I did is I called 3 of my downline that were up in Minneapolis, and I said, I'm going to pay for 1/3 of your entry if you go with me. So I had 3 other people join me, and we did a Clemmer event, and that was unbelievable. I mean, totally changed my life. I mean, the work that I've done with Clemmer is really transformed me as a human being. But and Sona has always been one of my faves for years. Really,
she was really, really good at keeping everything on track and cutting out all the pebbles and keeping it on the boulders.
She's a super color. She colors.
Yeah. Let's get to the point.
We better open this call because we've got on the hour there.
Yeah, my apologies.
We're live now.
We're live. My apologies. I'm going to have to shoot out because guess what? I'm picking up Al Bala and Tim Chang, the general manager of Chuck, and taking them indoor skydiving this morning.
Oh, very cool.
Well, you know what you got to do, Gary? Just tell Al Bala, say, guess who I just saw? And he'll never in a million years get it. I mean, Al and I are very close friends. We do a lot of brainstorming sessions again, because I don't know if you guys know this, but I live like 20 minutes from corporate headquarters. I mean, it's a pleasure, but it's also can be a nightmare.
I had an hour and a half lunch just with Al day before yesterday, one-on-one.
Great.
And that was really, really good. So, and now I'm just about to pick them up in an hour. That's why I can't stick around for the call. I've got to shoot in the car.
We want video on Facebook, please.
Don't worry about that. I'll be videoing, making tons of pictures. So you'll get to see those. So
we need him for Manifest, so don't let anything bad happen to him.
Yeah. No, he's really, really keen. He's really keen. So
he's in for a go. I saw him in the dojo this week with James Hannon. So he's
that nearly stuffed it. We were supposed to do it on Thursday.
Hey Gary, you've got to go.
He's got.
You got a lot of
ladies and gentlemen.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Say hi to Al.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Diana Hunt here, and as you can see, we've got our core team, Sharon Whiteman and Gary Knapp, and of course Merri-Jo Hillaker, all fired up and ready to go. And you can hear we're having a community chat there about Al Bala's adventures, our CEO and president of Mannatech Inc., or Worldwide Global. Here, exciting. He's been here in Australia on the Gold Coast over the last week or so, and he's having some adventures. He's definitely a community man on the ground, face to face with our associate base, and that's one of the beauties of Mannatech. Is we have a family from right through corporate, right through our associate base. And also on our Saturday morning Australasian educational call. And here we are gathering to receive the most outstanding education. I think it's going to be a bit of a combo, is it, Merri-Jo, between the business and the wellness technologies? Not sure what you've got to deliver today, but I'm excited, and I can see we have many of our Mannatech community gathering. I see Kim and Leanne, Sharon, Tony Ann, Tricia, Bev, welcome. And all the rest of you. If you can see on your screen a chat box, just click on that, open it up, say hi to us so we know you can hear us loud and clear. There's a drop-down panel there. Open it to all panelists and attendees and say hello, and then we'll get started just so we know that you can hear us. Great. Good morning, Tony Ann. Thank you. So with a few minutes after the hour, I'll hand over to you, Sharon and Merri-Jo.
Excellent, Diana. Thank you so very much. See Gary. Gary's off to take Al Bala for a treat indoor skydiving. So thanks, Gary. We'll see you later. And ladies and gentlemen, it's our great pleasure to be here every Saturday with you and our amazing guest speakers from all around the world. I'm just going to start the recording. So you guys always have to remind me that I have to say we start the recording. Oh, it's already recording. Good. And I want to just give one housekeeping announcement. If you can see the chat box, scroll to the very top. I need you all to do something for me. You need to go to the Facebook and like the Australasian Connect Facebook page. It's a page, not a group. So the URL is in there. You just click on it. It'll take you there. And I need you to like that page. And I also need you to send a private message to that page. That gives me the ability to text you the weekly call details as well as the email. So if you want to be able to send those texts on to someone that you think would benefit from one of our calls, then you can. It's really easy to do it that way. We're getting into the 21st century here on Australasian Connect. So Merri-Jo, we're very privileged to have you today. And I'm really glad that so many of our community is showing up. That means you're showing leadership for yourself and for anybody that you've invited to be here. We acknowledge you. Gary, Dan, and I've been doing this for probably 15 years now, just about, and it benefits us just as much as I know the feedback we get. It's really helping people out there in their partnership with Mannatech at whatever level that is. Now, Merri-Jo is an attorney by profession. She practiced tax and corporate law for years, owning 2 companies. When her father saw life-changing results on glyconutrients in 1998, Merri-Jo felt God was sending her a new calling. She joined as a Mannatech associate to help others achieve results like her dad had and never looked back. She's been the top income growth earner, top 10 business builders, Millionaire Club member, Silver Presidential, but her most cherished award was in 2007 when she won the Ray Robbins Giving Spirit Award. I think that's when I won it here too. She loves to teach and train and continues to have the longest running training call for associates worldwide. It's every Monday morning in the US, and that's open if you want to connect with her training. It's fantastic. Merri-Jo does mission trips every year in Brazil. She spends lots of time with families, set up her own foundation in 2004 called Changing Environments, where she coaches families to help them restore their relationships with God. She says through God, anything is possible. So, Merri-Jo, I always say in my introduction of you that you come straight from the heart and you're here to serve us. And I know that everybody will know that by the time we're finished today.
Well, great. Thank you, Sharon. What a pleasure and a great introduction. It's awesome. And by the way, just highlight to all of you guys, although I do the training every Monday morning and have been doing that for over 20 years, you all have access to it on mannatrain.net. Just heads up, that's my website. And not only do we tape every training call, but I do an outline for every training call. So if you're ever looking for anything, I can't begin to tell you. I think there are 3,000 to 4,000 hits that site gets every month. So I know people are using it everywhere throughout Mannatech, probably 10 other network marketing companies too. It's such a great resource. There's no, restriction to it. There's no cost to it. It's just a great resource, whether it's a book review, whether it's just picking a topic that you want to train your local people on. So feel free to dig in and use it, because I do it out of my number one core value, which is contribution. So it's just a blessing to be able to contribute in that way. And I have so much joy doing it. But yeah, you asked me to talk a little bit about my background, because a lot of people say, well, how does a lawyer ever get into network marketing, right? And it is unique, because I didn't even know what network marketing was. I had no idea. I was one of these people that, I was vice president general counsel of a multi-billion-dollar company at the ripe age of 28 years old. I climbed the corporate ladder really quickly after I exited the law firm, because I really didn't like being a part of a law firm. I felt like I was boxed in. So that was joyous, but then I felt boxed in there too, because anytime for me, I was one of those people that when you mentioned the word job, there was something very restrictive about it. It's just like, I was like, I don't think I fit, and I couldn't understand why I didn't fit. I mean, it frustrated me. We sometimes think there's something wrong with us, when in reality, we want to be free. I mean, I believe we as a human race are created with that desire to be free. So I ended up leaving the company as vice president general counsel, even though I was making a ton of money. I'm done. I'm moving to Texas. I bought a company. I ran that for a couple of years, hung up my shingles, started practicing law again, because I could do that in my sleep. So, and then I moved to Dallas and bought another company. So I was doing a lot of just, being free, because when you own your own company and run it, that's not a job. You don't have an employer, you're self-employed, right? You can fire yourself anytime you want. But so that was joyous. But like you said, my dad came down with a serious condition. And as most of us women feel, we're that connected to our dad that we're going to do whatever it takes. And that's where I was with my dad. I mean, I could tell you stories about, growing up and they're just such precious stories. And there were 4 of us in my family, all 1 year apart, and I was the baby. So I didn't get a lot of time with my dad, but I took advantage of every moment I could have, because he was special to me. So when he got sick, I just started on a trek that was in the early 1990s, and I started looking for something. And I first looked at all the drugs out there. And of course, at the time I had a law practice and I was running a business. So I probably spent, I don't know, maybe 3 to 10 hours a week, depending on what I could squeeze in, just researching what was out there. And there were no drugs that were going to help him. And then I started on nutrition, and being a healthy person all my life. I was raised, very well. We were very poor, but I was raised very well. We had our gardens, and ate healthy, and my mother, raised us that way. So I was the person that never was sick. I mean, people sometimes say, Merri-Jo, are you on any drugs? I said, no. And I haven't had a drug in my body since I was I think my mom gave me an antibiotic one time. That's the last time I had it. Isn't that amazing? I mean, there aren't very many people at my stage of life that can say that. But so I was very healthy. So I had never taken supplements. So looking at supplements, that was a whole training in myself. I had to go out and learn a lot about it. But nothing was new, and my dad's condition hadn't been something the world could conquer ever. So I just thought it couldn't be that. It can't be vitamin C or D or, CoQ10 or blah, 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 all the things that I researched. But then I came across the science of glycobiology. Now that's a really crazy thing. So I went to the med school library and I started doing research in a medical school library. And after I did all that, I thought, well, I wonder if there's a company out there that makes a glycobiology-based product. So I went on the internet and I found Mannatech. And it was so I told my husband how excited I was. I was going to go and interview the doctors. And so I was going to fly to wherever they were. And he kind of looked at me and says, okay, honey, whatever, So I went back in to see where they were. And turns out they were 30 minutes from my house. So of course, for me, it was okay, Lord, you're telling me something here. It was too crazy, So I called up the doctors, and it was McAnally and McDaniel at the time. And then I said, okay, I need some answers. So I went over there with all my legal pad full of questions, and I asked them all the questions, and I felt so driven. And when I was done interviewing them, I said to them, I just want to thank you for making this available. Of course, I went through the process of not being able to buy it from the company because they said it was network marketing, which I'd never heard of. So they couldn't sell it to me. I said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So I had to find somebody to buy it from, right? But I was just thankful to them. And both of them almost simultaneously say, Merri-Jo, don't thank us. It was really the Lord working in our lives. And I was like, believers, doctors who are believers. It was I went around a lot of lawyers all my life, and I didn't find very many believers there. So that was another little straw in my cap for me personally. So I walked away and I started my dad on Ambertose, and I wasn't going to put him on it without taking it myself. And after a period, and he lived in he had retired in Sun City, West Arizona, and I was in Texas. So he and my mother were together there. And so I started him on the product, and I gave him quite a bit. I told my mom to put a heaping teaspoon in whatever he drank for every meal, and that's how he did it. And he thought it was Metamucil, I think, so he agreed. So anyway, I went back there and saw him at Christmas, and I already saw a major difference in him. And my mom was so excited. So I said, okay, let's keep going. Well, 4 or 5 months later, I went to do their tax return, and it was really a miracle in our lives. I mean, it was a miracle. And I was so excited. I wrote Sam Castor a letter thanking him for it. But I still wasn't going to do any business. I was just ecstatic that I found this incredible breakthrough product that was making such a significant difference. But what happened is people heard about my story. So all of a sudden I get phone calls and people coming over to my house, and and I was getting mobbed, and I was going, they were throwing disease conditions at me like crazy. And I'm going, I was being perfectly compliant because I never heard of these, right? But not, without knowing I was being, or there was any compliance issue. But I just said, I'll teach you the science, you decide. And that's how I really kind of got started. But I still wasn't doing the business. I was just helping other people. And when they started having miracles, I went to my pastor, my church, 6 months later. I said, what do you think's going on? And I really was safe. Because Sharon, I always tell that it is a great story, because here I was making gobs of money, and I thought, I'm not like that number one tither in this church. There's no way my pastor's going to tell me he thinks I should quit everything, right? I was feeling really safe about it, but I was feeling that tug in my heart that this was something I needed to do. So I went to tell him my story and just see what his response would be. Do you think this is God's calling on my life? Do you think this? And at the end of he said, well, what's the name of the product? And I said, it's called Ambertose. And he looked at me and he goes, let me tell you our story. So his wife had tremendous results on it. And I was like, oh no. So it was the sign. So now I was stuck. This was it, right? So I go back home and I'm kind of telling my husband, honey, I think I'm going to take a few months to, move out of this and shut down my law practice and do Mannatech. And he goes, do we need to sell our house? Do we need to go live in an apartment? You know, I was like, he was so threatened by this whole thing because he comes from a different place where I do. I'm a person that believes that anything is possible. You just need to step into it, right? You just jump in and you make it happen. So he comes from scarcity mentality, and he's very, very, very much into security. And so it was hard for us at first because he was a little fearful, but he overcame that. He trusted his wife's competence, and sure enough, 4 or 5 months later, I was out doing Mannatech full time. And my experience was no different than most who get started. Probably a little different because being a lawyer and as successful as I was, there was a tad bit of arrogance in my life. And so I would tell people what they needed, and that doesn't work. You know, I remember telling one woman, I said, you know, your brain really isn't functioning because you can't even see that you need this product. So that's how much you need it. Well, do you think that was successful at closing her? No. So I was miserable my first 4 to 6 months. But I knew this was a calling for my life. And I knew, of course, I could hang out a shingle anytime and go back to making money. But I wasn't going to do that because I always believe when you make a decision, you make it and you make it work, right? You don't give up on it because there was no problem with the model. The problem was with who you're seeing in this call today and who you're listening to. Problem was Merri-Jo. I was the problem. So I started going to some trainings and I read a book, and there were a couple things. The book I read that had the most impact on me at that stage of my life was John K. Lynch's book, How to Be the Best You Can Be in Network Marketing. I mean, it was overwhelming to me because it really taught me, number one, some will, some won't, so what next? That quit getting tied to the results, right? What we have is something so phenomenal to share with people. Is everyone going to see it? Absolutely not. So never let them rob your joy in your heart and your passion because of their decision to stay ignorant. It's just their decision. And they have every right to make that decision, just like you had every right to make the decisions you make in your life. So you have to stop getting tied to the result you create in a given instance and not let it affect you. And that was huge for me. The other thing this book taught me was there are really two major principles to network marketing. Number one, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Well, of course, for Merri-Jo, that was huge because I knew everything. You know, I mean, I was the intellectual. I was the one who could solve every problem. I had so much background on buying real estate and buying companies and doing legal. So all of a sudden they told me, people don't care what you know, Merri-Jo. You know, it's like wiping out a brain that's full of so much knowledge and just whitewashing it, and telling me instead, until they know how much you care. Well, I don't know how many of you have been around lawyers in your life, but most lawyers don't have huge hearts. That's not one of our attributes. We've learned how to, you know, I kind of learned how to, you know, rip somebody's heart out, not show my heart. And so the process of that was just trying to really tap into my soft side and becoming a person that really loved everybody I came in contact with. And that was the learning process in itself. That was pretty huge for me. I mean, most people that know me today don't believe there ever was that other side, but if you ever work with lawyers, you can see that they have that propensity because they have that arrogance and also some kind of, you know, it's just, we come from the head. It's always about the head. It's always about outwitting somebody else in your brain. So that was a huge concept. So for those of you that are new on the phone, please understand, just go out, love on people and care about people. They really don't care what you know. If they don't understand how much you care, it doesn't matter how much you know. You could know nothing and they're still going to buy from you if you care enough about them. And the other thing was that this is a need fulfillment business. And that's the second big principle in life and in this business as well, that it really doesn't matter. If you go out there and try to sell somebody on something, good luck. Now you're a salesman. I'm not a salesman. And I'm not against people calling this sales if they want to. You know, Ray Robbins calls it sales all the time. I call it, I'm a solution person. Because this business is a need fulfillment business. So unless I play Sherlock Holmes and I discover what that person's need is, I really am trying to just sell them on something. But if I find a need in their life, and it could be financial, it could be health, I mean, so many things. And then I can help them fulfill that need. Now I'm not selling them anything. I'm just in a need fulfillment business. I'm a solution giver. And that's how I perceive myself virtually in all the things I do today. I just give solutions. People come to me with problems and I try to help them with solutions. And it's such a pleasant way to do the business. So that conversion, those principles on that training, reading that book, and then the training I went to, which helped me how to overcome objections, you know, that, and this is something, okay, so you guys write all that down, but here's a winner too. This is so precious. I went to overcome, you know, and this woman was up there, Dr. Nisi Moore, her name was. She's part of the past of Mannatech, of course. But she was like saying, she goes, okay, so write down on a piece of paper what are the 2 most popular objections that you get all the time. It's a great exercise. So I wrote down too expensive, and is this network marketing? You got to do it with that twangy voice, right? And so I wrote it down, right? So I'm writing this down, blah, blah, blah. So she goes, okay, what did you write on your paper? And she went through it everybody. And she goes, okay, now I want you to close your eyes. And she said, think about it. What are the 2 things that you think are the biggest problems with your Mannatech business personally? And I was like, wow. I was, first of all, I mean, I was this 6-figure, 7-figure lawyer, and now I'm doing network marketing. I mean, that 8th grade education people can do. You get it? So I hadn't realized it, but that was one of my big drawbacks myself. I mean, I hadn't valued the network marketing model as being a profession. I didn't look at myself as a professional. So that was a problem. So when other people said, is this network marketing? Of course, I was like, oh my gosh, they caught me. I was like, what am I doing this for? I should go out and hang on my shingle. No, so that's crazy. So if you have objections to network marketing, you better fall in love with this model if you're going to go do it. I mean, I fell in love with lawyering, and that's what caused me to do lawyering. You got to fall in love with what you're doing, or go find something that you love doing. I mean, I love helping people, and this is a phenomenal model to help people. So it just fit perfect with my heart for contribution. And the second thing, that it was too much money. And I was like, well, you know, the people, they look at this product and it's cost $100. Well, my problem was I hadn't focused on what it did for my dad. I had left that and started buying into somebody else's objection. And when I started refocusing on what it did for my dad, just like all of you on the call today, focus on what you've seen this product do and the miracles it creates. And now, is it worth $150? To me, it's worth $1,000, $10,000. If Mannatech came out and said, okay, we're having a price increase, we're multiplying by 10 all the prices of our product, a lot of you would go, oh, I'm out of here, right? I would still buy every single month. I may not have a very good business, but I would still buy the product for myself because I know the value of the product. And that's what you want to do, is make sure you really buy into and really, really believe the value of the product. Because otherwise, you're selling something you don't believe in. So I had to refocus on my belief. And those 2 things, reading the book and going to that training, I'm telling you, people, my business took off. Within a year, I was presidential director, and I never looked back. And so it's just about busting through what's holding you back, figuring that out. And you know, sometimes it takes a book, sometimes it takes the training, sometimes it takes somebody just upline who, you know, can see you a little differently, you know, look at you a little differently than you're looking at yourself. And so always look for people who, and for me, you know, some people go, well, Merri-Jo, how's your life different? And I said, for me, I always spend every day of my life looking on how I can be better. Does that make sense? Some people go, oh, but Merri-Jo, you're silver presidential, you have your own website, you know, you have your charity, you buy real estate investor, I mean, all these things. I travel all over the world. And I go, doesn't matter. Today's first day of the rest of my life, and I can be better, and I can do better. So what does that look like? And that's always my first question every day. Because otherwise you get stuck, and you're doing it to yourself. So I always look at, how can I be better? That's why I'm an avid reader. I read 2 to 3 books every single month. I'm constantly educating myself. And that's for a number of reasons. How do I educate everybody on my calls? And plus, how do I grow? I grow because other people teach me things I never heard of. How do I stay on top of the industry? all of those reasons. And for those of you who don't like to read, just get books by, you know, you can get the audio books, you can listen, you can go and listen to Merri-Jo's trainings on Monday calls or something. Tap into other people that help you grow, because if you stagnate, that's how you die. You want to be in a position where you're constantly in a growth mode. So that's kind of my story. I know that's my journey to Silver Presidential. It's been awesome. It's been awesome to be part of it. The best part is just the people. I mean, really. I mean, we have great stories. I love to tell stories, but I mean, the people are what make this business as great as it is. And the fact that you really are out there totally changing people's lives. And I still get Christmas cards and I get phone calls from people that I've helped 10, 15 years ago. I have people that started on the products basically the first 6 months of my life. I have a gal at church that's been taking products as long as I have, 23 years, right? I mean, wow. I mean, that's the kind of product we have, people. We have that residuary that people, even if I quit taking it, this woman at my church will never stop taking the product, right? And many others in there, but she's my longest outstanding one because I brought her in like the first 3 months or something that I was in the business. So there's just incredible value and to what we're doing and what we can create in our lives because of it. I guess you asked me too to answer maybe recommendations for success. Of course, I gave you a ton of them already in here. Just a few things that I just had a training luckily about an hour ago, 2 hours before this call. I just started a brand new associate. So that was a blast. And I convinced her 18-year-old son to get involved in the business as well. So that's a lot of fun. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So we just talked about some basic principles besides, getting started guide and all those kind of things. But I talked about, tap into your upline. And if your upline's not doing the business anymore, then go upline to your upline to your upline until you find somebody that really, all of them have a financial stake in your results. So tap into those people and allow yourself to be open to change and grow, because especially if you're new, you don't know anything. You're going to go out there and you're just going to fall all over yourself and make so many mistakes, or you're going to take off and go out like a bat out of heck, and then you're going to fall apart in 3 months. We have the fast growers, and then we have the ones that never quite take off. So work with somebody closely to help you do that. When you get bummed out, when things go bad for you in network marketing, always go upline. Never take negativity downline. That's an absolute critical rule, always. So never complain about in your organization. Don't complain about other people in your organization. Always, if you have a problem, go to your upline with it. When you're ecstatic and everything's going great, that's when you talk to your downline, because they need to hear and then get that positive result. So that's really important. And just always, never give up on it. Some of you have struggled. I know I work with some people that in fact, I was just working with a woman who started about 1.5 years ago, and she took off really fast, and then she kind of waffled a little bit. She was a little resistant to training or getting feedback. And so she came back in the fold about a month ago, and she goes, Merri-Jo, I really wanted to do this, and I said, okay, so let's sit down and talk about what stopped you the first time. And we talked openly about feedback. I said, I hated the word feedback. You tell a lawyer, hey, I've got some feedback for you, and they're going to go look at you like you're trying to insult them. Feedback is not an insult. It's not telling you you're inadequate in any way, shape, or form. Feedback is merely somebody supporting you to be the best you can be. And some of it's you take in, and some of it you dismiss. But if you're not open to getting feedback, then somehow you think you're the smartest person in the whole planet and you know it all. And so far, with all my education and all the books and everything else, I still want feedback from everybody around me. So the idea is to be the best you can be, take the feedback. So always be ready for that and look for it. Be in searching it. Look out, find people. And that's what I told this gal. I said, when you're open to that, you know what? Her business has grown by like 5,000 in the last 2 months. Just because she's listening and she's accepting feedback. And she's applying what she wants to apply, and she's taking it in and making shifts in her life. So those are just some suggestions. I don't know. Oh, you asked another one, Sharon. I'm just going through the questions you gave me. I'm not letting you really, be an interrogator here. But if you have some more, I'll be answered. But the last question you asked me to talk about was kind of like, so Merri-Jo, what do you see for the future of Mannatech? Well, I see the future of Mannatech as my future. In other words, I will never be out of Mannatech. Some people say, well, Merri-Jo, what, have you ever thought about going to another company? And I said, if Mannatech went out of business tomorrow, I would never do network marketing again, because I did network marketing. It's not that I don't believe in the model. It's just I did it because I totally believed in the product, right? I mean, I would have to find something that just absolutely captured my life. And these products have done that. But I believe what's going to happen in Mannatech, I think in the future, I really project that we're getting back to being glyconutrient centered, and glyconutrient, that being our focal point. And I'm doing trainings on ambertose. I've got a new website coming out at Manifest, and for everybody, for all associates in North America. And it's a training site, and it's all about how do we share, and how do we, how do we really grab onto this business a way that we can duplicate it and make it totally easy as you could ever dream of. For instance, my website does this. Sharon, if you sign up a brand new associate, of course, we know the training that has to take place for them to really grasp, right? We need to tell them all. We have so much educational process. What if you had a website that had 6 pages of training that they went through page after page, and all you did was make sure they went through their pages, right? Instead of a guidebook, you actually had a website with interactive materials, with videos. They got to talk to Al Bala was on there, and you file interaction stuff. I mean, that's what we're creating, and it's really going to be cool for everybody, and very duplicatable as well. So I love that idea, and I see with our refocus on glyconutrients, with really having a very grounded training page, so that people feel confident and comfortable. If I signed up yesterday and I'm signing up my first business builder, I'm totally freaked out because I have no idea how to bring them along. But now, guess what? You're not freaked out, because you got a system that's perfect to bring them along. So we're really excited about that. And I think that with the new 2 products that are coming out at Manifest 2, that's going to be huge. And I trust implicitly this company that I think this company's, with their new refocus on glyconutritionals, our core product that really distinguishes above and beyond anybody else on the face of the earth. I think this company's heading to, I'd say, probably 400 to 500 million in volume in the next 5 years. That's what my prediction is. So ride that wave. Okay. All right, Sharon, that's it. I think I got all the questions. Anything else?
Well, you've done such a beautiful job of describing the personal development and the commitment to training that's required to be the best we can be in partnering with Mannatech. And you've beautifully described how unique our technology is. I'm wondering if you could go a little bit more in depth about where Mannatech's unique differences to anything else. So obviously our technology, but there's the science that we have, the Scientific Advisory Board, our mission.
Our mission, M5M, we didn't even talk about that, and that's so gigantic. And there's going to be a huge breakthrough at Manifest about that as well. That's going to allow us to totally change the way we talk about our relationship with the orphanages, which is going to be huge. And if you've visited any of them, you know the impact is unbelievable. I could just hang out at these orphanages all over the place and just say, okay, Mannatech, I'll be back in a year. I love that. That's my passion, right? I mean, it's about contribution. So it's awesome. Absolutely. So that's
what have you witnessed at the orphanages, Merri-Jo?
I went to a bunch of them down in South Africa. I was in Joburg. I was in Joburg, but I went down to Cape Town, and I spent a day going up and down the streets. And I just played kickball. I ran in the backyard chasing chickens with these kids. I had such a blast. I mean, a lot of the people that I went with were looking at me like I've lost my mind. But I love to be part of their culture and just, that right in. But the stories I heard about where these children were 5 years ago were unbelievable. Because these kids were no different than my grandchildren. They had all the dynamics. They were joyful and running around and energetic and everything else. And the stories that came back to me about, John and Pietra. And I mean, they would tell me where they were 4 or 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago, and what a difference these products had made in their life. I mean, tears in your eyes, absolutely tears in your eyes. So absolutely part of our culture. But you know, Sharon, what comes across more and more, because I go to conferences like the, you know, the ANMP, the national conventions. We have a lot of network marketing national conventions where you're grouped with, I mean, you have people from 20 different network marketing companies. And it's the culture that's so different. I really believe our culture, because I don't believe our culture is one that people join and then they jump out and go to another one and chase another one and chase another. I mean, we typically have people that come here because they have a passion, a true passion for contribution. They truly see this as not just a business opportunity, but a calling on their life. And I don't think, you know, selling moon juice or whatever, you know, or, you know, some of the products out there, I don't even get into it, but I don't think there are very many of them that have that concept of it being a calling on your life. So the stories you have with the presidentials and other, not just presidentials, but other people that have joined Mannatech and dedicated their lives, just the fact that we have so many people that have dedicated their lives that never got above national director status or so, right? But they're still fighting every day of their life. And it's not, they're not chasing money. They're doing it because they're passionate. And that's the culture we have. So that distinction to me is what drives me the most. It's the people around me. I got it. We have stupendous technology and we have this great M5M and we have great people and the GSAB and all the things. But if we didn't have the culture, I don't know that I would want to be a part of a company where I felt people were kind of, you know, sleazy or just chasing money and just trying to sell. I don't know that. And do we attract some of those from time to time? Yeah, but you know what? Those are the ones that usually leave. They don't feel comfortable around us because we're too corny, old-fashioned, those old-fashioned values, you know. So yeah, that's to me is besides the glycobiology, of course, which is huge, but that's the distinction that I would draw with Mannatechers. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an amazing culture, isn't it? It's very much a culture of giving and camaraderie and a much bigger purpose. And I know at our recent, for those of you listening, quite a few of us were at a recent leadership boot camp for a couple of days with the top leadership internationally. And a lot of what we talked about is, you know, is resonating and getting better at telling that story of our mission and our purpose. And it's like you know, join our movement, you know, really we're disruptors in technology, in, as you're saying, culture, in giving. Yeah. And
loving on people. It just, and really do, you talked about getting your story down. That's a big part of something everybody needs to learn, because stories are what sell people. I mean, it's your story. I mean, I told my story today, but when I tell it to a new person, it takes like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You know, it doesn't, it's something we can be really concise. And it basically consists of what your life was like before, what you didn't like about it. Like I like to share you know, when I tell my story, I talk about, I was a businesswoman and a lawyer and I had no time. I couldn't take care of my parents as they were getting older. I couldn't participate with my brothers and sisters. I said, and then I came across this model, and I found that I talk about my dad having an incredible result with the product. And I said, and I looked at the business model, and I said, this is really my ability to live my life on my terms. And I said, and I've never looked back. Today, I've been able to spend all my time doing this, and this. I travel over the world. I'm in charitable. I said, it's absolutely amazing. And that's my story. That quick, like 6-7 sentences, and you've got your story. And that is what people respond to. Much more than, oh, glyconutritionals. Let me tell you about the science of glycobiology and the aloe vera plant and blah, blah. I'm telling you, they love stories.
What are your favorite, you know, I think, welcome to all our new people on the call. And one of the things that you'll learn as you get into it is that a a lot of what we're doing and connecting with people is learning the skills to answer great questions. What are some of your favorite questions that you ask people? And also, Merri-Jo, we're getting a few notices here that you're a bit quiet when you talk back. So they're having difficulty hearing you.
Oh, difficulty hearing me? I
Yeah.
don't know what I should. I don't know if something shifted. Sorry.
That's good. Yeah.
Is that better? Good.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite questions. You mean when I meet somebody, I just ask them about their life. I said, "So tell me about you." That's a lot of phone calls I get. I said, "You know what? I don't even know who you are. So tell me about you." That's it. You know, I open-ended, because typically what comes out of their mouth is what's most important to them. When somebody asks you to say, "Tell me about you," they don't think about the things they don't like. They don't think about the things least important. They think about, well, how do I want to define myself? That's what's most important to you. So that's a good, if you don't have any basis upon which to ask questions. But if you have a basis upon which to ask questions, then start with that. If you have anything similar, oh, I heard that you have a garden in your backyard. I love gardening. Tell me about what you're doing in your garden. And you just get, I find a connective point, and I just want them to embellish it. Not me. They'll never know through the whole conversation what I'm growing in my garden, but I'm going to know every inch of their garden by the time I'm done. And that's whether it's a garden or it's their life or it's their kids. That's my goal, is I want to learn about them in the conversation. So if you have a connective point, that's number one. But if you don't have a point of connection, then just ask them, "So tell me a little bit about you." I mean, I even do that in three-way calls where I know somebody might have a certain condition. I'll just say, before we get started, I just would like to meet you over the phone. So could you just give me some background about you and your wife, or you and your kids? And there's nothing in the world that can take the place of that introduction. You follow? Because they get it. Wow, this woman cares about me. She wants to get to know me. Very powerful. You're
a powerhouse, I'd say. And because that just sets the stage to be someone to offer solutions, doesn't it?
Right. And we get so nervous to just ask those fun questions and just be fun. Just let it flow, and don't release the nerves and just let it flow. People really like to talk about themselves, right? I know that.
And with all these years of experience and practice now, what do you say? Well, it probably doesn't happen to you, but what do you coach people to say if people have concerns about network marketing?
Oh, I tell them, I tend to use the, I had the same problem you had. I start laughing. I go, I had the same problem you had. When I got involved in this, because I fell in love with the product. And then when I saw my dad have these incredible results, of course, I was not going to go share this with the world. And then they told me it was network marketing. I went, what? And usually it's nasally, network marketing. So I have fun with it. And I go, what I found, so it's kind of like feel, felt, found, but without really getting into that formal structure. I just said, but you know what I found? I found this is such a phenomenal entrepreneurial business that even the people that choose not to stay in it have learned incredible principles about their belief in their own ability to make life whatever they choose it to be. And I said, so it's valuable to those who stay and build an incredible business, and even people that may not choose to stay or stay in this as a business opportunity, they have grown immensely in their capacity to be an entrepreneur. So that's how I talk about it.
Excellent. And how do you teach people to talk about glyconutrients when some people can get in its complexity?
I think the best piece of information that we have, and by the way, I just did a training on amber toast the other night, and I almost followed per se. Of course, I know a lot more because I lived through all that era 20 years ago, so I have bits and pieces. But that intro to glyconutritionals, I believe you have the piece too. It's called Intro to Glyconutritionals. Do you have that document? It's in Mannatech's library. I'm not sure what they have in Australia, but it's a piece that carves out the history of glycose. So it really tells you, you know, the concept of that these glycos, you know, the aloe vera, and they're missing in our diets today because we used to eat, you know, 95% of our foods were these different plant sources and whatever that had 6 of the 7 or 8 glyconutrients in it. Today, that's primitive man's diet. Today's diet's totally so. And then it talks about the enzymatic reactions in our body in order to convert them. So you have all, and then the difference in the blood types. You have all the history. And it's so, when you go through that phenomenal history with somebody, not that you have to capture it all, it really is powerful. And so I like that as a training point for people to pick their points out of that so they can describe where we were, why we need it. Because if you can't tell people why they need it, why would they buy it? So you need that part. And then you could tell and then you've got a company that's the #1 company in the world in this glyconutrients. And one of the other pieces I love using, Sharon, is the one, because Mannatech has this page that says the greatest aloe in the world. Okay. Now, if my company, Mannatech, can print that off and it be a corporate document, you better believe I use that, because the greatest aloe in the world is what they're representing. And I believe they have it with what we're doing in Costa Rica. But use that, because it's more than you getting involved in puffery. Here's a corporation in the United States that could be sued for, you know, misrepresentation, that's making this publicly traded, that's making this statement and this claim. So what does that tell you? If I were in Australia, I'd be walking around with that going, hey, this company's in the United States. They could be sued and put out of business for a false claim, and they're claiming they have the best aloe vera in the world. Got it? Bingo. I go, okay, I want some of that, right? Yeah. So I use that piece as well when I share with people. But yeah, walking through intro to glycos, keep it simple. And that piece is, it goes through the step-by-step that's pretty simplistic, that you can, and you don't have to know everything. You just, you know, as they say, the expert is just the person that knows one more thing than the last guy that talked about that topic. That's all it takes. It's not about being an expert. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, you've got an even more broad product list in the US than we have here. How do you keep that simple, the offering of what we have?
Great question. And this is what I do. When I work with people, I always start with our top technology. And why is that? Because that's the one that wows everybody. People don't get wowed on a vitamin mineral supplement. Okay, get that clear. I mean, we have a great one in Phytomatrix, but that doesn't wow people. So when I talk to people, I always start with our breakthrough technology that totally changed the world. In fact, I even bring up, did you know that that movie Extraordinary Measures with Harrison Ford that came out about 10 years ago, it was about a glycobiologist and these saccharides on the cell surface. So I even said, even the movie industry hasn't taken on this thing. You get it? And they look at, that's really cool. You can talk, even you guys there could go, even Hollywood is taking on, you know, glycobiology. So I lead with that, because and here's why, once I get them understanding the depth of science and the incredible breakthrough this is, I can sell them any other product without even batting an eye. Because, you know, then they go, well, Merri-Jo, is that, you want me on Ambertos? What else? I go, well, they have 100% plant-based vitamin mineral that's absolutely stupendous. And I want a support product for your endocrine system, which is plus. And then they have an antioxidant product that has been proven to increase your antioxidant blood by 37%. So that's the 4 core I want you. And they go, okay. So the other 3 products get less than a sentence, because once I've sold them over here, they already trust me and believe me. So I could sell them the moon over here, but that's what I want to get them on, the 4 core. So typically, now I know we get into a little bit of heal, cure, mitigate sometimes with other things, but I don't get into the words, but I might recommend something based on my experience. So there might be some other ones I recommend as well, depending on what they're doing. But my basic intro to people is going to be the 4 core. Yeah.
Excellent. And when people feel stuck or overwhelmed, like you've already indicated that they go upline for support, is there anything else that you'd recommend?
If they feel overwhelmed?
Yeah, stuck or in their business or don't know what to do
in their
next.
business? Well, of course, read. Okay. I would also suggest, if you're not a reader, then again, go to places. If my website happens to be a place where you find a home, super. I mean, some people go there just to listen to the replays, so they don't like to read, but they'll listen, they'll look at the different, so reading and just developing you've got to develop a commitment and a belief system, because truly, as a man thinketh, so is he. The magic of believing. I could give you 10 books off the top of my head around the magic of believing, right? So, and belief is, if you feel that's waffling or wavering, then go back and start being a better reader. Start reading or listening to books by tapes, as well as talking to upline or some successful people, and just be totally honest. Go, you know what? I just don't believe that I can do this. Just tell somebody and say, what do you suggest? That's what these conventions are all about. You get to hobnob with all the top leaders, in the country or around the world. And that's your opportunity to get some really good, independent, constructive advice, because most of the presidentials and leaders I know in Mannatech are more than willing to support anybody who walks up to them and asks them a question. It's part of our culture, right? Culture, right? Yeah. I know I do that. I know Manifest is coming up, and I'll probably spend more time talking to people that aren't in my downline for sure than who are in my downline. And I probably have 100 people from my downline who are going to be there, but I'm going to still spend more time because, it's the only time I get to see some of those people. So I know I'll see a lot of you too. More than welcome to come up and talk to me, ask any questions, any way I can serve you.
Fantastic, Merri-Jo. And what about for people who get to a fork in the road or a point where they feel that they're running out of people to talk to? How do you help people with that?
I just ask them, are you a hermit? I mean, I can never run out of people, because all I have to do is walk outside my door. And it's just finding your mechanism that you're most comfortable with in terms of talking to people. Where is it going to be? At the grocery store? Is it going to be at the library? Is it going to be going out to meetup groups? Is it going to be whatever that is? A lot of people doing internet marketing today. I'm not keen on that, because I've put a lot of money and development in that, and I really I'm finding that I get a lot of people, but they don't stick, because a lot of them are like 20 years old and they're still fighting to find themselves, and it's a little harder marketplace because they're more ADD than I was at that stage, right? And they're still spreading their wings. But I think you find your marketplace of what works for you, and don't stop at one. There are literally a million places to find people. And the other aspect of it is, I think a lot of us go out and we sign up 10 people or 15 people, and then we run out or something. Well, what are you doing with those 10 people or 15 you just signed up? My business, if you want to know how my business grew, my biggest leg came from a referral. And that person, I drove down to Austin once a week for about 12 weeks straight. And that's 3-hour drive down. And I would finish the meeting, sign up 10 people a night, and then I'd get in my car and drive home and get home at 3 a.m. Okay. But I did it once a week. And then those people became referral agents. So whoever you have in your organization today, even if they're just consumers, you need to tap into them, because they know lots of people. They still have a huge warm list they've never shared Mannatech with, and they're an opportunity for you. And they know people who are hurting, and they know people who are looking for income and are looking for better health, and tap into those. Those are easier than going out to a Starbucks and hanging out waiting for, or talking to the gal behind the counter or whatever else. Cold marketing can be kind of threatening to people, but I love doing home and garden shows. I tell people to go, or art fairs. Go where you love to be. If you have a passion for art, my mother was an artist. I have none of that talent, but I appreciate the talent. So I love to go to art fairs. I love home and garden shows, because you know what? I've got this big organic garden out back. I keep adding to it every year. So I love that. So because what happens when you go into places where you have a passion, what do you think shows up? Your passion. Yeah. And that in and of itself, do you know how many people want to find somebody in their life who's passionate? I mean, they want to be around you. You're like a magnet. You don't even know why you're a magnet, but it's your smile, your joy, your disposition. They just go, I want to drink whatever you're on. I've had people say that. Merri-Jo, what are you smoking? I've had people say, because they don't understand it, because they don't have that sense of contentness, of joy in their lives. But if I went to a gun show, well, I mean, I'm just telling you, that's not one of my cup of teas, okay? And I know we have a lot of issues around that. Praise the Lord for Australia. You guys have it right. We're clueless in the United States on that issue. But if I went to a gun show, I guarantee you I wouldn't get out of there with one lead. It'd be impossible for me, because I would be so perturbed the whole time. I'd be nauseous. And so what are you interested in? What are some of your outside loves? That's where you want to show up, because you're going to show up 10 times better there than you will something that you're not committed to. Yeah.
Absolutely. Merri-Jo, that's amazing. I think we've probably answered most people's questions. And as Merri-Jo said, mannatrain.net. You can go there and start studying. And any questions you have, you can pick the topic. And Merri-Jo, what's in your heart to leave people in Australasia today?
Well, first in my heart is I just can't wait to see a lot of you at Manifest, because I know a bunch of you are coming in town for that at the Gaylord, so that's going to be a big blessing. But probably most in my heart is just the fact I want to just honor all of you and thank you for being a part of this incredible mission with me, because I know without you, we wouldn't be as good as we are. So know that each one of you, no matter where you are in your business or in the business, if you just signed up yesterday, you're a part of us. So don't think of yourself as something really small. Understand that every cell in this body of Mannatech family is critically important, and we all play a role. And I just honor you for making this incredible decision to be a part of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Merri-Jo. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Kevin Robbins next week. Almost a neighbor to Merri-Jo.
Right next door name, almost, yeah.
Yeah. And they work and train a lot together at Mannatech Corporate in the US. And Kevin is actually Dinah's and my upline. So we'll be having him next week. Not sure of the topics, but if you have any questions, send them to me and we can adjust how we do that call. So Merri-Jo, bless you. I'd love to have you at least once a year. Missed you last year, so I'm so glad that you're here this year. Thank you.
Great. Always love to be there with you. I'd rather be in Australia, though, but I'll do it by Zoom.
Oh, it was so good when you came here. It was amazing.
Oh, it was. I had an amazing time. Yeah. God bless you guys. Love you all.
See ya.
All right. Bye.